Here's what I don't like about the idea of are you playing God? Because you're a God no matter what. You're either a God who does nothing, like ours, or you're a God who affects people as you come across them. There's something about societies and how they are supposed to be maybe like there are certain tribes that are like still untouched by technology that we are actively protecting from any influence whatsoever because you're not supposed to just ruin their entire culture and everything. There's something special about that. A uniqueness that if you were to pull them into the fold with all the rest of the people doing the same thing, everything that is what they were is gone. Now, in this episode, there's a chance to possibly completely cure a disease. This is like saying that you have the cure for cancer and you're not sharing it because the civilization is on another planet, evolving in its own way. They are a technological species that have the ability of basic travel, and they don't have antimatter yet. So there's this other culture there that is not allowed to live in fertile soil areas. And so you have this whole like, wait, so the people who are. It's framed in such a way that the people who are dying are like, yeah, we're hoarding everything for ourselves and also we're dying. And the people who are doing fine, who are subservient to us, are like not dying. Eventually might surpass us completely. But think about it. You have two totally different societies. If they were to not be mistreating each other and like this is a very layered episode where it's extremely favored towards somehow not curing a disease. They didn't ask to be diseased. People are just born into the society, this whole species of people. And of course, we come in here where we are a recently warped society. We already have a cure for whatever it is that illness has. Here's a question for you. They saw Ferengi The Ferengi looked at these people. They either couldn't help them or didn't help them. So let's just take a look at that for a second. The Ferengi said, no, we can't do anything about this for you. Now, that granted, the writers know flat out well who the Ferengi are. If there is a hustle to have, they would have it. So they definitely. My assumption is that the Ferengi did not withhold information. They didn't have any information to help them. They didn't have a super good scientist that could help. Or also, when they called back home and said, "Hey, Ferenginar, um, should we help these people?" And it's like, no. Or, there's nothing we can do, sorry. But the humans, before Kirk, could just fix this. And I don't know what the other I don't remember what the other species that was that visited them, but two warp capable species visited them and said, "I don't think so. Either I can't or I won't, because I just either don't have the cure or I refuse." And the Vulcans would have said, like, among all the people that are in this episode, there are some who have said to Phlox, the physician, like, they're not treating the ones who are sick aren't treating the people who are doing well properly. And like, you gotta wonder what you should actually do. Do you give the cure as some kind of thing that the lesser respected, but clearly doing okay anyway, society, but only because they don't have the physiology that's getting the disease? It's so muddy. But this prime directive hasn't been written yet. And it's like, okay, we're just going to not play God. We're not going to play the God that changes things for the betterment of anybody just because. And we're literally going to lie to them, just like the Vulcans held stuff from us. And it's like, oh, we understand how you felt because come across us, we don't have all the answers. We don't have, we need to be sure what we're doing before, and 100 years later, we finally got out there. So it's like, now we're starting to understand that burden of information and needing to hold things back and make sure that they are able to help, are able to do the right thing. So humanity was what? In the right place to do that? No. Humanity was never in the right place to do that. The Vulcans did the wrong thing. Possibly. Because you either hold back the ability to progress. Like, obviously, if you have, like, here's how we have it right now. We have the AI junk that's just going around where people are making art or whatever videos and stuff and not putting a lot of effort into it, and yet people are either one enjoying the stuff because it's mostly good enough and nice. And it's like, yeah, sure, whatever, but like true good is still recognized, acknowledged, and like top notch, and also the soul is in there, and that's cool and everything. Like, there's all sorts of interpretations about all this stuff, but it's like we also have 3D printers. And we end up with a lot of slop of people making 3D made stuff that is easy to break and or just easy to just mass produce so many different things. And it's interesting to think of now we're talking about a technology that's like a spring that's rep that's self resetting, a way to break thermal dynamics because of a 3D printed spring that goes from being the strength of two springs to the strength of one spring with a bit of effort, and it literally can make infinite power possible now. Although a lot of people don't really see it as a perpetual motion machine component, it definitely is one, and it is so simple. And what happens when you have perpetual motion machines? You don't have any limits for, well, okay. When you have a lot of things that last for a long time, if it lasts for a century, you're good. It doesn't need to be perpetual. If you replace it once a century, you're fine. If you replace it once a decade, you're probably still fine. But the ability to make power without having to exert anything other than just regular gravity is still perpetual motion. It's still something that's there. And it's like, okay, you think I'm going off topic, but the idea of we have all these things, we're getting into a new era of, or we've already been in an era of 3D printing. We've already been in an era where you can just make whatever stuff and there is no regulation about it. And it doesn't matter if they deserve the technology. We just have the technology. There's no way to stop anyone from making like their own handmade little whatever stuff, like a drone or a gun or just a plastic plate or fork that has a design on it that's cool, or like Dungeons and Dragons figures, or something fun, something cool, something that's useful. Um, Freaking space technology. Anything that you want is so easily made. And if you had the cure for whatever else, would you still not go to that other island, which is the example of all examples of like, we don't assist them? We just let them do their thing. All right, what if we have the cures for cancer or whatever else? But what if they have the cure for cancer? That's the fun part. What if they outlive us? We had all this knowledge and all this everything else, and we are like freaking. I heard something about China's diversity and how it's lacking or something, and there's not enough babies being made or something for the rate that if you were to like fast forward time a bit, that I forget if it was China or Japan, but they're going to be basically extinct at some point. And it's like, huh? Like as a culture or as like a significant gene pool or something? Like a lot of the stuff that is, was, and would have been eventually will become gone forever. It's like if you could cure whatever's going on with birth rates or whatever else through like either one thing or the other, and you just choose not to, like, I can't think of anyone that I would say, like, as a race, or as a species, as a group of people out there just living their lives, friggin', I don't know, whatever, just withhold that. I don't think anyone would do that. We always progress science. We always share everything freely and openly to everyone because who is willing to listen. Every modernized person, or however you put it. And so there's all this stuff about like in this particular episode, it's so easy. It almost feels like it was easy to, well, let's make them just look so bad that we second guess helping them. Even though they have like maybe warp 1 technology or something, basic warp or whatever they had. And it's like, that's not enough. Warp 5? I mean, if you could stop the Ferengi from having warp technology, would you have done that? And then what about them and all of their trade agreements? What about them and everything that has been influenced by them, and can you even consider, would you control their actions? Would you control, like, obviously, if you think of Kardashians, they suck, or they seem to suck completely. And then eventually we have a treaty with them in the end of Deep Space Nine, I think. Somehow. I forget. I'll get to that series again later. But like the stuff about how, like, I'm just still stuck on this particular episode in season 1 Star Trek Enterprise, where we're not out here to play God. And there's the Hippocratic Oath, right? Where you do no harm. And you could say helping them would do harm. I don't know. I'm running out of space, apparently. it, it bugs me.